Here in Hong Kong, the clocks run faster. Asia's world city regards itself as being absolutely and unconditionally modern. Anyone living here should not have a fear of tight spaces, because an acute lack of space is the #1 issue for the people of Hong Kong. With its special status within the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong considers itself as tolerant and freedom-loving.
Say 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3,
10 o'clock in the morning. Warm-ups at the water. A dragon boat team is going out for an hour of training. Man In Lee is the head of Hong Kong's official women's team.
我覺得龍舟嘅特色同埋佢吸引我嘅地方咧，就係在於龍舟呢個運動咧係好講求團隊合作精神嘅，咁就好講求坐到一條龍就一條心就會輸㗎啦，就好講求10個20個人一齊俾力咁去贏咁樣咯，所以我好中意呢個感覺嘅，係啦。
This popular Hong Kong sport has its origins in a legend. More than 1,000 years ago, whenever there was flooding, Chinese fishermen would try to appease the demons with the help of carved wooden dragon heads. The dragon boat women in Man In's team are counted among the best in Asia.
講喺身體機能上面，可能男仔嘅體能會好過女仔啦。咁但係其實我覺得女仔整體一啲協調性咧，係可能係好過男仔嘅。杭州每一板唔係淨係講求手嘅力量咯。係關乎成身咯 ，whole body 嘅 power。
Man In and her team have set themselves the ultimate aim: to win the title at this year's International Dragon Boat Regatta.
咁沿路咧，我哋唔淨止可能係爬啲短途嘅，有陣時啲比賽咧，我哋會爬長途嘅。咁出到去出邊海啦，我哋都會欣賞到唔同嘅景色啦，山景啊、海景啊，咁樣令到我更中意香港呢個地方咯。
Hong Kong means fragrant harbor in Chinese. This one-time fishing village has long been transformed into a mega metropolis, with the rhythm of the city dictated by money. In more than 150 years of British colonial rule, trade and commerce brought it wealth and growth. And right up to the present day, it's still the dollars that draw the people to the city. People who achieve success here are treated like pop stars.
其實喺香港呢個地方，其實就係越係努力就越係有大嘅回報。咁或者呢個就係香港呢個地方即係最可愛之處啦嚇。
To young people, Yun Xiu is an idol. Every evening, hundreds of schoolgoers are waiting for him. Even though Yun's not a pop star at all, but a private after-school tutor.
今日咧係我哋Form 5嘅堂啦。OK， 好 ，Let's go。Hello， 各位同學，大家好。你哋見唔見到咁我唯有唱啦。嗱，其實咧中文咧可以通過。咁阿許方咧就見到隻鬼，係嘛？而家蝦。
Yun teaches Chinese using textbooks he's written himself. And he's counted among the most sought-after private tutors in the city.
You are the man, yeah. Okay, good. 好啦， 咁啊當然啦，佢哋可能有個別會所謂崇拜偶像啦。咁但係最緊要就係話，我希望你與其崇拜我咧嘅外表或者我嗰個所謂風趣幽默，不如試下崇拜我嗰個學識或者崇拜我自己嗰個堅持啊，崇拜我所背後嘅努力。
Back during his college studies, Yoon had the brilliant idea of reinventing after-school tuition. And the pupils love his unconventional methods, radically different from those in the strict Chinese school system.
咁我唱㗎啦，係咪啊 ？One, two, three， 問我得失有幾多？其實不必清楚。
More than 300 pupils take private tuition from him after school.
回答講一聲，我係我。
But as only 45 pupils are permitted in a classroom by law, Yoon has come up with a brilliant trick: glazed rooms, with him as a live projection, visible for every pupil. Private tutors can earn up to 100,000 euros a month.
有個字咧個寫法同佢差不多，大家死記好唔好啊？就係呢個字啦。
譬如話踢足球踢得叻嘅，佢年薪可以好高。咁同樣教書嚟講咧，教得好嘅話，一樣有一個好嘅回報。其實我唔覺得係有咩問題。
It costs about 450 euros per course for Yoon's promise of a rosy future. After-school tuition has become a booming service industry in Hong Kong. Yoon has an explanation for his success.
咁但係其實喺身份認同方面咧，似乎就有啲混亂啊，因為你問到底我哋好多人到底香港人定係中國人咧，其實佢哋未必答得出嘅。咁所以大部分人咧，其實就只能夠將個注意力咧就放咗喺嗰個揾錢啊、點樣成功啊嗰度。咁呢個係佢哋人生嘅目標。咁你要成功，咁其實一定要有一個好嘅學歷，要考到一個好嘅成績。
And to increase his popularity even more, Yoon invests regularly in lavish advertising campaigns.
Thank you. 今日要影啲造型。今次個妝就光啲。日校老師咧，可能俾人嘅感覺係比較保守嘅，比較正經嘅，比較斯文嘅。咁但係我哋補習老師咧個形象可以多啲變化啦。可以係譬如而家比較流行啲韓風嘅，咁我哋着嗰啲衫啊、着嗰啲褸咧，可以比較係韓式少少嘅。所以喺個形象方面咧，其實變化大好多。咁從而亦都可以係吸引到學生嘅注意。
因為你個褲袋可能唔好插晒落去，你係咁樣勾住就算。
勾住啦，係兩個都勾住咁夠啊。
His 13 years younger wife, Apple, knows exactly what the young people like. She's in charge of Yoon's style. Apple is one of 10 employees Yoon now needs to manage his growing after-school tuition empire.
今年最後機會跳下，好啦，準備1、2嚟啦。
你會覺得其實你同人哋係唔同嘅，你其實係值得有多啲嘅目光去注視你，你值得有多啲嘅掌聲。你問我係咪 superstar？I'm superstar。1、2嚟啦！
But Chinese tradition is also lived in the streets beneath the city's skyscrapers. At the wet markets of Hong Kong, the absolute freshest produce from the region lands directly on the benches and tables, and there's nothing that cannot be found here. Bill Chan has a small tofu shop, and he still produces the soybean cheese quite traditionally.
咁我哋用嘅石磨啊，個磨出嚟就係一種慢速嘅磨法，咁咧就唔俾佢破壞，所以我哋個石磨傳統落嚟嘅石磨去製作嗰個豆腐係靚啲嘅。
In the past, the soybeans came from China. Today, Canada has become the more reliable partner for this basic product.
嗱，因為由於如果原材料好咧，就自然會即係 會有豆發揮咗佢豆嘅香味啦、豆嘅膠性啦、豆嘅佢個融合性啦，即係嗰個結合。
Bill is running his business in the 4th generation. Here in Hong Kong, tofu is a staple foodstuff. One of his customers' favorite dishes is dao fa, a tofu pudding. The taste is enhanced with ginger honey.
就我哋個豆腐咧係唔受嗰個經濟環境影響嘅。比較富裕陣時嘅人咧會追求一健康嘅食品咧，就更加去享用呢個豆腐啦。咁反之，如果我哋喺個經濟低迷嘅時候咧，咁我哋由於我哋個豆腐係比較平價。
The store rents in Hong Kong have increased tenfold over the last few years. Bill needed a new business idea and found it. A modern restaurant with new tofu creations.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
其實香港菜個特色咧就係好現代化嘅，佢即係可以咁我哋會加一啲西方嘅煮法烹調或者技術落去咧，咁我哋好多時咧就有呢種出現個 fusion。
A tofu sandwich like this is a mix of Chinese and Japanese cuisine.
以前咧一般豆腐咧只係一種家庭式嘅或者係嘅食品嚟嘅，家庭嘅主要食糧嚟嘅。但我希望能夠喺其他宴會即係可以入出室堂、出廳堂咁樣，將呢個豆腐擺喺更高嘅層次嗰方面去咯。
There's not much space for honoring traditions in Hong Kong, not even for graves. Due to the lack of space, 90% of the people who die here are cremated, and their urns are kept in urn halls. Despite the fact that a grave in a good location plays a crucial role for Chinese people. According to tradition, a well-aligned final resting place endows children and the children's children with prosperity and safety. It's all about having the right Feng Shui. Maggie Leung is a Feng Shui expert.
其實咧，無論係陰宅或者陽宅，都係直接同嗰個方向有關嘅。咁方向係咪關乎於迷信咧？唔係嘅，係視乎於嗰個氣場同埋環境㗎。係啦，頭先你
Only every second person in Hong Kong can still be buried in the metropolis, with the result that a grave now costs up to 50,000 euros. Quite an investment in the future of your children. And whoever's not able to afford that gets buried on the Chinese mainland.
其實香港真係風水嘅寶地啊！但係佢呢度好嘅地方咧，就係因為佢有岸山，佢將嗰個水口守住，將個水口鎖住。咁言下之意咧，佢啲水嚟得平靜，咁你啲錢咪留袋得穩咯。
Maggie's know-how is also in demand elsewhere. To smooth her clients' path to a wealthy future, she even visits their homes. Mr. Wong has asked the Feng Shui expert to come to the apartment his daughter and son-in-law bought recently. He wants to ensure the couple's future is optimal. And at a price of nearly 10 million Hong Kong dollars, about 1 million euros, for the 60 square meter home, everything should be perfect.
哦，咁樣。何生，你睇唔睇到啊？嗱，呢度咧有啲角就咁樣飄過嚟嘅。咁所以咧，如果我哋夜晚瞓覺咧，就必須要將嗰個窗簾閂咗佢。咁變咗咧就避咗嗰啲好似個刀咁樣劈劈劈劈劈，明唔明白嚇？咁嗱 OK， 咁你呢度咧有個電視都做得幾好啦。因為嗰個電視咧就冇個鏡，亦都唔會話照到嗰個床頭，盡量咧個電視咧就向高少少，明唔明白？嚇。係。
嗱，小心啊！
The young family are expecting their second child.
哇！嚇，小朋友好開心啊！
In the future, their offspring will have 6 square meters for playing, learning, and sleeping.
係佢做功課㗎。
係啊，冇錯。人哋都睇到嘅。
睇到你就唔得咯喎，咁咧你就一係咧黏塊反光紙，咁如果唔黏得反光紙，你就要將嗰個窗簾咧就輕輕咁拉埋佢，咁佢做起功課上嚟，佢就會專心啲嘅喎。如果唔係咧，佢一路做就一路玩嘅，明唔明白？
啊，明白。
啊，好啦。
It was Maggie who recommended the luxury home on the 21st floor to them because its location at the sea guarantees good feng shui. After all, the family of 4 and their Indonesian housekeeper should be able to live together in harmony.
揀呢間屋嘅時候，我都因應到古老人，我哋即係上一代嗰啲人都講最緊要有個安樂窩，但係呢個安樂窩難求啊！佢想工作順利，想樣樣都比較和諧一啲，所以佢咪要將嗰個屋企嘅環境整得好啲咯。係啦。
Maggie has placed ornaments around the apartment to improve the energy flow. With the help of a compass, she's located the money corner in the apartment and placed a maneki neko, or lucky neko kitty, in it. For the family's good fortune and flow of money to continue for a long time to come.
Hong Kong 咧地少人多，馬路行人路狹窄，高樓大廈夠多，所以咧暫時未有一樣嘢可以取替得到咧，就係飛棚，特別係飛棚嘅棚架。
Wing Hing Lo gets a call whenever small repair jobs need to be done on the building facades. 7,000 skyscrapers are squeezed into Hong Kong, with over 1,000 of them towering to a height of more than 100 meters, a world record in itself. The apartments are often just a few square meters in size. One of the windows in Mr. Chan's apartment has become leaky and loose and needs to be replaced. With the help of Wing Lo's bamboo scaffolding, the window manufacturers are even able to work safely on the 32nd floor. It all begins with a small loop.
Well, 因為搭棚嘅話咧，如果你喺地下望上去咧，就好似好危險咁。有時我望見到人哋做搭棚工人咧，其實呢個係一個心理作用，只不過係你望落去下邊，好似跳笨豬針咁，即係心理作用嚟得。
With its low weight, bamboo is ideal for building scaffolding. At this height, steel would be just too heavy. And thanks to its elasticity, bamboo is also better at withstanding typhoons. The older and drier bamboo is, the more stable it becomes.
就係點解我要做揀搭棚咧？就係因為咧人工高啦，富有挑戰性啦，同埋有翻咁上下技術性，我哋係好好奇、好有心去學呢樣工藝，呢門係一門好高嘅工藝嚟嘅。
Little has changed over the last 2,000 years in the technique used to construct the scaffolding. Only that instead of bamboo fibers, the workers use nylon lines today to secure it. They simply wind them around the bamboo rods and turn them inwards, with no knots at all.
咁我哋而家可以睇到不同香港嘅環境，唔同嘅居所有唔同嘅觀景，咁呢樣嘢係好特別嘅。有時我哋見到啲觀景會好靚，有時會好曬，有時話有啲向海，有啲向山，我哋係一個好特別嘅角度咁望落去香港嘅。
It is said that Hong Kong is the fastest city in the world because it's constantly reinventing itself. But the city has no choice, as the constant influx of people to the city never abates. Even at night, Hong Kong's still productive. A city that never sleeps or even rests. The people go out onto the streets to escape their cramped homes. And Sai Ho Choi heads off hunting for sounds.
當我戴到 headphone 嘅時候咧，可能就令到個感官上面有啲唔同啦，就令到開始你會係用個耳仔去諗嘢啦。咁而多過係話我哋純粹係用一個視覺嘅嗰個角度去諗嘢咁樣樣咯。咁而呢樣嘢係令到我哋嗰個感官上，我諗係更加擴闊咁樣樣。 我諗香港係一個生活節奏非常之快同埋非常之急速嘅一個地方啦。咁而呢個亦都俾到我靈感咧，係用喺我嗰個創作嗰方面。
Sai Ho is an electronic artist who combines sound collages with video art. Noises inspire his imagination, like the sound of the urban tram system, which recounts parts of the city's colonial past.
咁點解我揀電車咧？咁因為電車係一樣好獨特嘅、好反映到香港文化嘅一個交通工具啦。好簡單講，我哋未必話去搭電車，可能就講我哋去搭叮叮咁樣。咁所以呢個咁獨特同埋咁深入民心嘅講法，係透過創作去表達呢樣嘢出嚟咯。
Sai Ho grew up in Hong Kong. His role models are the electropop pioneers of the German band Kraftwerk. Sai Ho performs his experimental sound and video shows at international festivals. He assembles his sound collages on his computer.
聲音其實個特性係一閃即逝嘅。 咁我就諗緊，可唔可以將所有唔同類型我收集到嘅或者係砌出嚟嘅嗰啲聲咧，係可以 濃縮到一個好短嘅時間落去，但係大家都仲係 aware 聽到嗰個聲嘅。
By now, Sai-ho is one of the hottest and most popular DJs in the city, thanks to his lavish sound videos.
燈光嵌在寒冷的黑暗中。
透過學習武術，可以令自己心境變得好平靜。練咗武術之後，我係增強好多自信心，同埋可以鍛鍊我嘅毅力。練武術有時係比較刻苦，有啲動作係要練好多次，咁就會不停重複咁練，所以就比較鍛鍊我嘅毅力，等我唔好放棄，咁樣鍛鍊我呢種精神。
Jackie Wong started martial arts training 5 years ago. With Kung Fu, she's created an island of calm for herself in the hustle and bustle of Hong Kong. Here in a Taoist temple, she follows the 1,500-year-old teachings. Kung Fu pursues the goal of achieving spiritual and physical perfection by combining different types of martial arts. Yun Huang is a Kung Fu master and Jackie's teacher. He trained for many years in the Wudang mountain range, the sacred Chinese mountains of Taoism. Now Yun Huang is bringing the Taoist philosophy to the city of money and conspicuous consumption.
我感觉到呢，香港的都市人，他只是在想着眼前的利益，而不用艺术。他们不知道，一个有能力的人是要看他输得起输不起，因为这一步输了，下一步就会彻底的赢。
To this day, most people wrongly connect Kung Fu with films featuring the martial arts icon Bruce Lee.
功夫就像我们的一种身体的一种语言，但真正身体的语言不在于它的凶狠或者快慢，真正的功夫是无形的。这个快。
According to Chinese tradition, Kung Fu training also includes chess and calligraphy. Jackie Wong's training sessions often last until midnight.
練咗功之後，真係精力會旺盛好多，精力充沛。嗰陣時我係好吊兒郎當，乜都唔做嘅，好學業又唔理，家庭又唔理，咁樣。最後咧，師傅就係通過就係呢種文化教我點樣做人，就係首先要叫我孝順。
By now, Jack is allowed to teach the children. Over the last few years, the Kung Fu schools in Hong Kong have seen their attendances rise. The parents are yearning increasingly for an upbringing in line with traditional values. They hope that Kung Fu will help their children to cope in this highly competitive society.
首先係我覺得可以教學相長，同埋係教小朋友係好開心嘅一件事。 可以好互動嘅，同埋小朋友係好活潑咁樣，同埋都係宣揚翻我哋舞蹈武術嘅一種傳播。
Where once the opium trade made the city rich, today containers from all over the world are waiting for shipment. The port of Hong Kong is one of the busiest in the world. Huge container ships meet small transport boats here, delivering goods to their customers, single-handedly. Wong runs a small transportation business with his brother and his sons. Each morning at 8 o'clock, they load up their ship with goods from the city. There's no money for modern technology. They only have a crane to help fill up the cargo space. The rest is skill and concentration.
即係冇瞌眼瞓咧，或者突發嘅嘢咧，唔會有問題嘅啊！我即係咁耐，我做咗20幾年，都幾乎未傾過勞保嘅。
The transport boats are a kind of lifeline for the city. They bring supplies to the people living on the more than 250 islands belonging to Hong Kong. From tights to televisions, all kinds of orders end up on board Wong's ship.
我哋以前咧，如果冇超級市場喺度咧，我哋好多雜貨做嘅，即係嗰啲油囊尾醋嗰啲咧，我都有嘅。而家嗰啲啊已經俾超級市場做咗，我哋係比較少咗呢啲貨咯，所以我哋要做啲額外嘢做咯，而家都啊。
Unlike the big ferries, which stop at many of the islands, Wong offers his customers more flexible loading times. He accepts goods up to midday for delivery to the inhabitants of the islands.
有時我係負責接貨嘅，我需要話俾你聽，今日有啲咩貨，我大佬就會安排到點樣擺貨嘅，即係知道啲嘢幾時嚟，咁話撈埋個重量啊，或者船要個重量要就嘅個重量噶嘛，唔係會傾斜噶嘛，即係我會話一早話咗俾你聽幾時有貨嚟嘅，佢就會知道安排到噶啦。
They need an hour for the trip to Cheung Chau Island, 10 kilometers away. Wong is plagued by worries about who will succeed him. It's not certain whether his sons will take over the business later on. There are only a few people left willing to do this hard work.
但係以前我哋係食嘢係冇咁，我真係啖牛溫飽已經 OK 啊！而家啲人就唔係啊。就算好似我啲細路仔早地都去話要去飲酒去享受，我哋去到揾到錢好耐先識去嗰啲地方飲下酒輕鬆下。而家我哋識都會有，但係而家啲細路仔已經未揾到錢，已經識使錢啦已經。
Cheung Chau is a small island with 25,000 inhabitants. For many here, Wong's ship is the sole connection they have with the nearby metropolis of Hong Kong. The only way to distribute the goods here is on motorbikes and motorized trolleys, as the streets are too narrow for cars.
咁我冇乜要求嘅，土生土長。香港嚟講，我都即係如果我住嘅話，我梗係自嚟島好啊。我知我明白嘅，你唔使驚啊！香港人撈我長洲人咧分別就係我哋長洲咧生活好寫意，撈埋咧空氣好啦，你唔使即係冇咁緊張。你出邊咧香港人咧做嘢係緊張，撈埋個揸緊嘅時間好緊迫。
Hong Kong information. Good morning, helicopter uniform line. Okay, copy note above 1005 1019. We'll report Peninsula uniform line.
Flying in Hong Kong is quite challenging at times, but pilots like challenge, and that's why we like it. Otherwise, it becomes too routine.
Dominique Simoneau has been a pilot in the city for 4 years now.
Low visibility days when there's a smog or fog, then it becomes a bit more risky because you have all these buildings and they're quite high. Actually, the highest in Hong Kong is reaching about 500 meters. It's about the height as we are flying now. So it's good to be aware of where the wind is coming from when you fly low, close to mountains or buildings.
Dominique's destination is the Peninsula Hotel in the city centre. It's the only hotel in Hong Kong with its own helipad. Visibility is poor today. The northwest wind is carrying industrial air pollution from the Chinese mainland into the city again.
I remember the first time I came here, it was impressive to come up and then land on the rooftop, and then you're right here in the middle of town. I mean, you just don't feel VIP. You are, because you escape all that traffic jam, you come straight in.
Hello. Hi there. Ready for the flight? Yeah. All right. Let's go.
One of Dominique's jobs is taking hotel guests to the airport.
It's a nice day to fly today.
The pilots in Hong Kong are recruited from every corner of the world, because only the most experienced ones are able to handle this challenging job.
All right, just sit comfortable, put your seatbelt.
Okay.
And we'll be gone in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you fly over Hong Kong, you're kind of confined because you cannot go too high because you have the airplanes departing and approaching to the international airport. And you cannot go too low at some places because there's people living there and then buildings and all the obstacles I mentioned. So you have to sandwich your flight in there.
The flight from the Peninsula Hotel to the airport lasts 15 minutes and costs the customer €2,300. The passenger only reaches his destination 20 minutes faster than by train. But time is money, and nowhere more so than in Hong Kong. The Peninsula is one of the most exclusive hotels in the world. Stars like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Gere have stayed here. Built in 1928, the hotel is the oldest one in the city. Most of the buildings from the early colonial era were ripped down to create new housing. First came the founding of Communist China, then the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s and 70s. For many Chinese, Hong Kong became a place of refuge. The population exploded and poverty grew. In the last 60 years alone, the number of people living here has quadrupled. In the 1950s, Hong Kong began building housing projects for the refugees, with each family getting a small room. And still today, 150 mainland Chinese move to Hong Kong every single day, seeking political and economic freedom. For Dominique, the development of the city can best be seen from above.
Hong Kong is growing so fast, it's a little bit like mushroom farms. There's new buildings like popping up every day, like mushroom and it's the same scene everywhere in Hong Kong. It's the constant change.
Yet just under a quarter of the islands are built up. The rest consist of green, hilly terrain that's not suitable for housing construction. And in these isolated areas, a helicopter is essential. The helicopter base station is 15 minutes flying time away from the city center. Dominique heads off from here every day to the various jobs he's been booked for. For each mission, they have a suitable helicopter waiting to be flown.
Hi, Mark.
How you doing? How's your day going?
Good. I finished to fly the passenger helicopter. Now I have a mission with the Llama. Would it be possible to get one ready in about an hour and a half?
Okay, we just have to do a track and balance run. Any chance of you giving us a run in about half an hour?
It took me hours and hours just to be able to stop the load from going left to right, 5 to 6 meters left to right. And then if you have to come so close to an obstacle with people down below, they don't want to have something swinging, a 1-ton piece of engine swinging over the head. They want something very steady that doesn't move. And it took me a lot of time to master this skill.
They have to transport material up into the mountains for a power line route. Transporting freight into inaccessible regions is one of Dominique's main tasks. For this job, Dominique is flying a special helicopter from France. Thanks to its lightweight design, the Llama is able to transport loads up to a ton in weight to higher altitudes.
That job is quite demanding, especially when it's windy beside the hill and sometimes you're very close to the obstacle like a power line or something like that. So it's a challenge every day and there's no routine because every day there's a new mission.
New areas to live in are urgently needed for the people of Hong Kong, which is why they're reclaiming land from the ocean, a whole 60 square kilometers of it so far. But this building mania is threatening the habitats of many animals along the coast. Joe Cheung works for the Nature Conservation Association in Hong Kong, and he's committed himself to saving endangered species of animals.
喺香港咧，其實除咗真係高樓大廈啦，同埋有700萬人口喺度啦，其實住咗好多唔同嘅動物，亦都有啲動物可能係早過我哋香港人喺度已經居住緊。但係我哋嘅責任去到保障我哋將來係仍然都會有咁多嘅生物多樣性喺香港，俾我哋嘅下一代會見到。
Joe and his colleagues are searching for a primordial species whose very existence is at risk. The Horseshoe Crab.
我咪要搶開，即係中國猴啦。
第一次見到馬蹄蟹，好多人都覺得咩嚟㗎？好似外星動物咁樣。咁到佢認識咗佢個價值之後咧，好多人都會中意佢啦。呢個就係個 swimming paddle。
係。呢個咧好中意抬高嚟撐起自己。嚇。咁最需要呢個。
52 mm。
Each crab is minutely documented for research purposes.
生活咗咁耐，但係點解佢可以唔使進化都可以一路咁樣生存落去呢？4億年咁耐喎，咁所以佢點樣去適應呢個大嘅環境啦？適應佢喺泥灘上面嘅生活啊，落到海入邊佢點適應，係一個好多科學家唔淨止係我啦，好多人都好想知道嘅一個謎咯。
The horseshoe crabs spend their first 10 years along the coasts to protect themselves from enemies. They can only head off into deeper waters once they're big enough. And just 1 in 10,000 crabs ever makes it that far. horseshoe crabs can grow up to 80 centimeters in length. They're being bred in the university lab for research purposes. Although they're classified as crabs, in fact they're closely related to spiders.
馬蹄蟹咧有另外一個名叫做幸存者或者生存者啦。其實佢過咗就係佢有個好大嘅殼啦，佢咪喺深海入邊咧，喺海底咧冇乜其他動物可以食到佢，因為佢有個咁硬嘅殼，同埋佢體入邊嘅血咧應該係可以抵擋到好多唔同嘅細菌嘅。
Because their blood congeals immediately when it comes into contact with bacteria, these animals are also interesting for the pharmaceutical industry. They're caught, and their blood is extracted to the very last drop, and then used in medication to detect germs, with the crabs suffering an agonizing death. In the long run, the crabs just have no chance against humans, which is also the reason why they're being bred and reared here in the lab and fitted with a chip before being released into nature. In this way, Joe is still able to observe the species' way of life later on. Joe and Bill conduct important educational work, going to schools to make the children more familiar with the animal world. Most of them here have no connection with nature at all. They leave their concrete blocks only rarely because of the intense heat.
咁呢個下邊呢啲就係佢腮咯，係好得意㗎，你可以睇下佢個背脊係咁樣嘅。咁咧，咁如果喺野外嘅，佢真係退殼嘅時候，即係唔好彩條尾斷咗，咁佢一反斷咗之後，佢就好難自己發翻轉咯，咁就好容易俾太陽曬乾個腮，跟住會住得開心啲啦。
The children learn to rear the crabs themselves and then release them into nature later on.
喺香港咧，有好多嘢都仲可以繼續做好啲嘅，咁所以透過呢個計劃，令到多啲學生明白其實生物多樣性個重要性，同埋令到自己同個大自然聯繫翻喺一齊，咁先可以令到人同大自然係可以繼續和諧共處落去咯。
我覺得喺香港每個人都想有佢自己嘅烏托邦，就係一個好似冇可能達到嘅一個最優秀、最好嘅理想國。但係現實世界呢個理想國度咧係唔存在嘅，咁所以我嗰個概念咧好多時都係關於呢個城市嘅空間啦、城市嘅居住。
Casey Wong is a performance artist, presenting his work worldwide. In his pieces, he confronts the developments in Hong Kong, throwing up questions, aiming to provoke.
咁我覺得好多時喺香港嚟講咧，居住係成為一個好大嘅一個掣肘，因為啲建築咧好貴，咁令到人生嘅自由啊、配偶嘅選擇啊，甚至乎或者想轉工或者唔想轉工咧，都成為一種憂困。咁即係要自由咧，香港咧就真係要擁有自己嘅物業。
Casey's created an ideal playground for his creativity in a disused industrial building.
即係香港係全部都係關於打洞嘅，即係 verticality。咁你喺好狹窄嘅街道嗰度行走，唯一望得遠啲嘅咧就係天空。咁我覺得喺呢度 studio 嗰度咧，有趣嘅地方就係橫向嘅，能夠望得好遠，而又唔會俾嘢阻擋住咧，即係 我諗係每個人都嚮往。
Casey's newest project is the mobile home. An initial version of his art property has already been shown at the Venice Biennale. The wandering homes are his response to the residential frenzy in Hong Kong.
同埋我有陣時會問咧，一個人喺個城市嗰度咧，究竟需要幾多空間？譬如有啲人會成日諗話啊，要個大屋咁樣樣，跟住我反而會諗翻一個人其實需要嘅空間其實唔係好多嘅，可能係好細3尺乘4尺都未定。咁所以我就諗咗個 idea， 一個最細嘅屋究竟係幾細咧？所以就諗咗呢個流浪家居咁嘅概念咯。
Casey wants to achieve a shift in thinking with his art. He hopes that one day the people of Hong Kong will reflect on the essence of life, free themselves from the treadmill, and turn away from money and the struggle for living space.
我覺得我嘅作品咧係希望人哋睇到嘅時候就會發現咗現實可能好多係唔可能發生嘅嘢，但係就唔好諗住就放棄咯，應該向住自己相信嘅所謂理想角度去追求咯，或者追尋。